Dr. R. Sugaraj Samuel. He is working as a professor in physics at New College, Chennai. He is also training students for IIT JEE, AIEEE, and BIT SAT. He has more than 16 years' experience in both teaching and research. He has published a book titled The Complete Handbook of Bachelor of Electronic Science Practicals, which is prescribed for the syllabus for BSc Electronic Science by University of Madras. He has presented papers in several national and international conferences and has also conducted many training programs and workshops to motivate energetic students. His research areas are ultrasonic, polymers, crystal growth, and photovoltaic systems. He is experienced in both regular classroom teaching and online teaching as well.
Welcome to UGC lecture series on oscillations and waves. We have been discussing about various aspects of waves. This lecture is devoted for learning about the effect of different parameters on the velocity of sound waves. Before we start this lecture, let us see the outline for today's lecture. In this lecture, we are going to learn about effects of temperature, pressure, density, humidity and wind on velocity of sound. Following which, we are going to learn also about the superposition of two waves. We know the expression for velocity of sound in air. It depends on the physical parameters like the modulus of elasticity, which was replaced by pressure in the case of air, and also the density of air, an elastic property and another physical property like density, on which the velocity of sound depends. And also there is a Laplace correction term gamma, which is the ratio of specific heat capacity for constant pressure and constant volume. So, let us have a recap of the expression for velocity of sound in air, and then we will take up that expression for the effect of various other physical parameters on the value of velocity. So, let us have a look at the expression for velocity of sound waves in air. This is the expression for velocity of sound in air. V is equal to square root of gamma p divided by rho. Here rho is the ratio of specific heat capacity, Cp divided by Cv of air, P is the pressure of air medium and rho is the density of air medium. The other physical parameters like temperature, pressure, density, humidity, etc., they have a kind of impact on this expression and thus on the velocity of sound in air. We will see them one by one. First, we will take it up for temperature. What is the effect of temperature on the velocity of sound in air? Let us take the equation itself and try to bring in the temperature term into it and see what effect the temperature has on velocity. So, let us start with the equation for velocity of sound in air. The first parameter is temperature, effect of temperature. The velocity of sound is directly proportional to the square root of absolute temperature. The velocity equation gets modified as follows. We start with the original equation for velocity of sound in air. V is equal to square root of gamma p divided by rho, and we would like to bring in the temperature term into this. So, for that what do we do is we write for the density as mass divided by volume. Here mass is the mass of air molecules considered for a particular volume V, and by mathematical simplification V goes to the numerator, and once we see this term PV, which can be now replaced by the universal gas constant term nRT. Here n is the number of moles, R is the universal gas constant, and T is the absolute temperature. If we look at this final expression, certain terms are constants, namely for example this gamma for air is constant. For a given volume, the number of moles n is a constant, R is of course a constant, and for that particular volume that we have taken, mass is a constant. So, the temperature alone is a varying quantity. Our aim is to find out the relation between the velocity of air and the absolute temperature. So, we finally conclude V is directly proportional to square root of the temperature, which is represented as capital T here. Here the temperature T is in absolute scale, that means it should be measured in Kelvin, that we have to keep in mind. So, when the temperature increases, the velocity of sound in air medium also increases. Here when we say the temperature, it means the temperature of the medium, the air medium. So, compared to a cold weather, in the hot weather the temperature of air will be at a higher temperature. Obviously, the sound will travel with a greater velocity in air, with the relation V is proportional to square root of T. What will happen if you want to bring in the temperature in Celsius itself? We can modify this equation for removing the proportionality. When we have two equations for the velocities at two different temperatures, we can easily find the ratio of the velocities and rewrite the equation for velocity of sound. So, that is what we are going to do next. It is a simple mathematical manipulation, so that we get a relation for the velocity of sound in terms of a standard temperature. So, let us see how it is done. We can write the equation further as V is proportional to T for two different temperature. Here we have taken V naught as a particular velocity, and T naught could be taken as the 0 degree Celsius, or it is in Kelvin, it is 273 Kelvin, and this is any temperature T. So, when we take the ratio of these two expressions, the proportionality is vanishing, and we rewrite it for the velocity of sound at any temperature T, which is written in terms of the velocity of sound at 0 degree Celsius or 273 Kelvin, and on the right hand side we replace the T with the value of temperature written in Celsius itself. So, this is how the equation gets modified, and finally we can make an approximation by binomial expansion by retaining only the two terms. The of will be appearing here in this expression. So, this is the approximate expression for velocity of sound in air at any temperature T. Here the temperature could be taken in Celsius. So, this is an approximate equation which relates the velocity of sound in air at a particular temperature with the velocity of sound in air at 0 degrees Celsius. Now, we will move on to the next parameter, maybe pressure. We will take up pressure for discussion, on what way the pressure has an effect on the velocity of sound. Let us once again start with the basic equation for velocity of sound. We will do this way. The velocity of sound is not affected by changes in pressure as long as there is no change in temperature. The following expression supports the above statement. Once again, we start with the basic equation for velocity of sound in air, and which is written as square root of gamma p divided by rho. Again, the rho is rewritten like this, m divided by v, mass divided by volume, and at this stage itself we stop and we have this PV appearing on the numerator of this expression. When PV is there, the PV is constant if temperature is constant. When pressure increases, volume will decrease according to the equation. So, the pressure alone does not have any effect on the velocity of sound in air. As long as the temperature remains constant, pressure does not change the value of velocity of sound of air. So, this we have to keep in mind, but when temperature increases, the previous discussion can be adapted. It is the velocity of sound is proportional to square root of temperature. Pressure alone does not have any effect, because when pressure increases, volume decreases and the product gets adjusted to have a constant value. Now, we will move on to the next parameter, maybe the density. What effect the density has on the velocity of sound in air. Let us take up the discussion further. Effect of density. The velocity of sound is inversely proportional to the square root of density. Consider two media with same gamma value and p value, but different rho value. Gamma is the Laplace correction or ratio of specific heat, P is pressure and rho is density. Only the density is different for the two media. So, accordingly we write the equation for the velocity of sound with two different densities marked as rho 1 and rho 2. When we write the ratio for the velocities, the densities appear within the square root with rho 2 divided by rho 1. So, what is the conclusion? It is proved that velocity is inversely proportional to the square root of density. When we have the effect of density, we have made some assumptions in the beginning. The pressure and gamma values are same for the two different media. This is taken up only for the discussion, but when we have two different gaseous medium, the density and gamma might also change, but we are discussing only about the effect of density. So, we have taken gamma and p as constants for the medium, so that the effect of density alone is discussed and what its impact on the velocity of sound is discussed. Now, the next parameter taken up is humidity. What effect humidity has? Let us see the effect of humidity. What is humidity? Humidity is the measure of water vapor that is present in air. Higher the humidity, more is the presence of water vapor in air. We can take up a small calculation. The density of water vapor at normal temperature and pressure is, this is the molecular weight of water molecule divided by 22.4, this is the molar volume, and we have the density as 0.8, approximately 0.8 kg per meter cube, whereas as the density of dry air is calculated at NTP, the value seemed to be 1.29 kg per meter cube. Compared to water vapor, the dry air has got greater density. At this juncture, we should have this point in mind. What is present more in air? Air is the collection of several molecules. Which is prevalent in air? It is nitrogen. Around 73% is made up of nitrogen. So, N2, it exists as the diatomic molecule N2. So, its molecular weight is greater than that of water molecule. Water molecule is H2O. If you take the molecular weight, it is 18 for water, and the molecular weight for nitrogen, the prevalent one we have taken up for discussion, it is N2, taken as N2. So, it is around 28 and odd value. So, it is greater. So, dry air has got greater density than that of water vapor. This is what we have to keep in mind. The presence of air molecules, if we casually think, will seem to increase the density of air, but it is not so. The dry air only has got greater density than that of water molecule. So, the presence of water molecule will reduce the density of air medium. So, it has the effect on the velocity of sound. How it is related? Let us see the concepts further. The presence of water vapor reduces the density of the medium. Hence, the velocity of sound is higher in humid air than the dry air, because the density appears in the denominator of the expression. But this change in density is due to the humidity change. Humidity is the amount of water vapor present in air. So, this we have to understand. The humidity is related to density, and thus higher the humidity, lesser the density. So, in humid air the velocity of sound is more. Now, the next parameter, which is a commonly observed parameter, the velocity of the medium itself, that is what is called wind. When wind blows, what will happen? This equation what we have taken for velocity of sound is for the still medium. The air is remaining stationary. Of course, the air particles vibrate when the sound travels, but they do not get transported. But when we say the presence of wind in the medium, it is the movement of medium itself. The wind carries the air medium. There are two possibilities now. It could either carry the medium in the direction of the sound or opposite to the direction of sound. So, what this has on the velocity of sound? It is very obvious. When wind blows, it carries the medium in the direction of its flow. Hence, if wind blows in the direction of flow of sound, the effective velocity of sound is increased by the velocity of wind itself. So, it is just added. The effective velocity is the velocity of sound in still air plus the velocity of wind. Similarly, if wind blows in the direction opposite to the velocity of sound, it decreases the effective velocity of sound. The effective velocity is equal to the velocity of sound in still air minus the velocity of wind. When we say the wind is blowing, it is carrying the medium in its direction. If both are in the same direction, it enhances the velocity because it is carrying the medium itself. So, these are the impacts of various such parameters on the velocity of sound. So, the formula for velocity of sound is discussed elaborately for having greater understanding about the impact of other parameters on it. Now, we will move on to a next topic as per the curriculum. It is the superposition of waves. We have discussed about the superposition of oscillations. We have the knowledge of the superposition already, but that is applied for the waves which are the progressing disturbance. How it is adapted for the progressing disturbance, that is called wave. We know the definition for the superposition of waves. It is just the addition of the two individual waves, that is called superposition. So, let us start with the basic definition of superposition and try to give a analytical treatment for obtaining the resultant of the superposition. Let us see. When two waves travelling in the same direction in a medium superimpose with each other, their resultant intensity is maximum at some points and minimum at some other points. This phenomenon of adding of two waves together is called superposition, or it is also called interference. So, what do we do normally for superposition? We will have to take two individual waves and add them mathematically. That is what we are going to do here also. So, let us follow the same method of analysis. Let us consider two simple harmonic waves of same frequency travelling in the same direction. If A1, A2 are the amplitudes of the waves and phi 1 and phi 2 are the phases, then their instantaneous displacements are given as these two equations. These two waves travel in the positive x direction because it has got the form omega t minus kx. So, whenever this form appears, we know that it is traveling in the positive x direction, and these are the phases. Phi 1 is its the phase of first wave and phi 2 is the phase of second wave. When we say they are superimposed, literally we have to add them. So, a mathematical expression with addition of these two equations are to be written next. So, let us see how it is done. To find the resultant, we have to simply add them as shown. So, that is what is done here. They are substituted for x1 and x2. This addition could be carried out using the trigonometric identities because it has the trigonometric functions involved in the expression. And at this point, we have to keep one more technical point in mind, that is the two equations what we have taken are the longitudinal waves. The equations for longitudinal waves are taken here because x is equal to, it has that formation a1 sin omega t minus kx. So, there are two x values appearing in the expression which represents the longitudinal wave. So, let us go ahead with the mathematical addition using trigonometric identities. We have just added them mathematically, and this follows the usual method. We have isolated the sin omega t minus kx because the omega is the angular frequency and k is the wave number. These two terms are constants for the two equations. So, we have taken them out, and similarly cos omega t minus kx, that is also taken out. So, we have the other terms appearing. Once again, we are using the trigonometric method of simplifying the expression to arrive at a final equation which would give the resultant of the addition of two waves. Let us proceed further. Let us assume for further simplification by using the available trigonometric identities, what expressions we had in the bracket for the previous expression are assumed to be these two simple terms a cos epsilon and a sin epsilon are given by these two identities. Here a and epsilon have their meaning which could be discussed later. Now, the equation is simplified further and we arrive at the resultant. Let us have a look at the method of simplification. We have used the identities which we have defined earlier, and finally using the same trigonometric method we arrive at this final expression. What do we finally get? A modified amplitude A and a modified phase epsilon. The remaining terms are all same. It is again a longitudinal wave. This again represents the wave because omega t minus kx term is present, and we finally get another travelling wave with modified amplitude and phase. What about the phase and what about the amplitude? We can use the definitions which we have already written to get them on the expression. So, when two waves are added, the resultant is also a wave with modified amplitude and phase. Shall we have a diagram or a wave itself, how the addition results in another wave? Let us have a look at this. See, this is an animation which shows how the two waves get added to produce a resultant wave, but this is not pertaining to what we have discussed. Here the frequencies are slightly different, but nevertheless this gives us an idea that the two waves would give a resultant wave which is also a simple harmonic wave. The two dots are given for our reference, how they get modified. Now, it is time for us to find out what about the expressions for the resultant amplitude and the resultant phase. That could be simplified with the definition which we have already used. So, let us see how the mathematical sequence of steps are carried out. Squaring and adding the original equations 1 and 2, which we have already seen, we can arrive at the expression for amplitude square, and when we take the square root of the expression which we have got, the amplitude expression is obtained like this. It is A is equal to square root of A1 square plus A2 square plus 2 A1 A2 cos of the phase difference phi 1 minus phi 2. The phase difference plays a vital role in deciding the resultant amplitude. This is a very familiar expression. When two vectors are added, this will be the expression for the resultant vector. And now, what is epsilon? The phase which we have got in the final expression for the resultant wave. So, that is also obtained from the defined terms. Let us see how that is done. Dividing the equation 2 by equation 1, we obtain tan epsilon, which could be again written for epsilon. So, this involves individual amplitudes and also the individual phases. Thus, we have found the modified amplitude A and also the modified phase E. These expressions for A and E could be used in the resultant expression which has this A and epsilon. We have originally defined the superposition of two waves as change in intensity. What is intensity? We have a relation for intensity which involves the square of amplitude in the final term. We only take up the relation between the intensity and amplitude. Intensity is proportional to square of amplitude. So, we can discuss about the impact of the phase on the intensity. Let us take it up for our discussion. We know that intensity is directly proportional to the square of amplitude. So, we have shown it here like this. The square of amplitude is written from the previous expression. A1, A2 are the same. So, we do not take it up for discussion, but the impact of the phase difference phi 1 minus phi 2, that is discussed here as special cases. The intensity I is maximum when cos phi 1 minus phi 2 is 1. So, it becomes a perfect square. So, it is A1, I is proportional to A1 plus A2 the whole square, that is the maximum value of intensity. Similarly, minimum value is possible when the cos phi 1 minus phi 2 is minus 1, it will become a perfect square again, but in this case I is proportional to A1 minus A2 the whole square. So, there are two intensities, maximum and minimum intensities possible. What will happen if the two amplitudes are same? Have a look at the expression again, we will make a mention of it before we go to the conclusion part. Let us have a look at the expression again. What will happen if the amplitudes are same? So, here it will be A1 and A2 are same. So, it is 2A the whole square. So, it will become 4A obviously. So, I is proportional to 4 times the amplitude square, and here what will happen for minimum A1 and A2 are equal, because it is taken as the difference here, it will become 0. So, when the amplitudes are same, the maximum in the intensity is equal is proportional to 4 times the amplitude square and the minimum intensity will be 0. So, we will come to the conclusion of today's lecture. What we have discussed. In this lecture, we have discussed with the conclusion that the addition of two simple harmonic waves with equal frequencies, different amplitudes and different phases result in another simple harmonic wave with same frequency and modified amplitude and phase. Let us see the session summary of today's lecture. This is the session summary. In this session, we have seen the concepts of effect of temperature, pressure, density, humidity and wind on velocity of sound, and also the superposition of two waves. Let us test our understanding by answering these questions. Explain the effects of temperature, pressure, density, humidity and wind on velocity of sound in air medium. Discuss in detail the superposition of two simple harmonic waves by using analytical method. With this, I wind up today's lecture. See you with greater concepts in the future lectures. Thank you for watching.